Welcome to today's video. In this session, we're going to tackle a tough but incredibly important topic: facing undesirable truths about yourself. It's never easy to confront a truth that doesn't feel good to hear, especially when it challenges the way you see yourself or how you think others see you. Maybe you've been told that you lack discipline, that you're not as good at something as you thought, or that you have certain habits that are holding you back. Whatever that truth is, it can feel uncomfortable or even painful. But here's the key point we're going to explore today. Just because a truth doesn't feel good, doesn't mean you have to settle for it. In fact, these truths are often starting points for personal growth and transformation. Instead of allowing them to hold you back or define you, they can be challenges that push you to become better. So, let's dive deep into this topic and explore how facing difficult truths can lead to powerful change. First, let's define what we mean by an undesirable truth. These are facts or observations about ourselves that we don't particularly like, or that don't align with how we wish to see ourselves. For example, you might realize you're not as disciplined as you thought. You might recognize that you avoid conflict or shy away from challenges. Maybe you've been told you have a habit of procrastinating or not following through on commitments. These truths can be difficult to face because they often go against the image we have of ourselves, or they highlight areas where we feel insecure. But here's something to understand. Acknowledging a hard truth about yourself is not a reflection of your worth, it's simply a recognition of where you currently are. It doesn't mean you're stuck there, and it certainly doesn't mean you have to accept it as your permanent reality. A lot of people think that confronting an uncomfortable truth about themselves is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it's a sign of strength and self-awareness. Why? Because it takes courage to be honest with yourself. When you're willing to see where you fall short or acknowledge areas that need improvement, you're opening the door to change. Think about it this way: if you don't acknowledge a problem, how can you fix it? If you don't recognize an area where you're struggling, how can you grow? Acknowledging the truth is the first step toward transformation. Let's use an example. Imagine someone who has always considered themselves to be hardworking and ambitious. One day they get feedback from a mentor who tells them they tend to procrastinate and miss deadlines. Ouch, right? That feedback stings because it contradicts how they see themselves. But if they avoid the truth and refuse to acknowledge it, they'll never take the steps needed to improve. On the other hand, if they accept the feedback, they can begin the process of developing better habits and becoming the hard worker they aspire to be. Now, here's where a lot of people get stuck. They hear an undesirable truth about themselves and feel like they have to settle with it. They think, well, I guess that's just who I am. I'll always struggle with this. But that's not true. The truth you face today doesn't have to be the truth you live with tomorrow. The beauty of being human is that we are constantly evolving. You are not fixed in your current state, and you have the power to change. Just because something is true about you right now doesn't mean it will be true forever. In fact, the very act of recognizing an undesirable truth gives you the opportunity to work on it and improve. Let's return to the example of someone who procrastinates. If they recognize this truth about themselves, they can start implementing strategies to improve their time management, set better deadlines, and hold themselves accountable. Over time, the procrastinator can become someone who is known for their efficiency and reliability. The undesirable truth was simply a starting point, a marker for where they were, not where they had to stay. So, how do you go from acknowledging a tough truth to actually changing it? It's a process, but it's absolutely doable. Here are some key steps to help you overcome and transform undesirable truths about yourself. First, accept it without judgment. The first step is to accept the truth without harsh judgment. This is important because it's easy to fall into a trap of self-criticism when we discover something about ourselves we don't like. But remember, you are not your flaws. Everyone has areas where they struggle, and facing an undesirable truth doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're being honest. Next, set specific goals for change. Once you've accepted the truth, it's time to set specific, actionable goals to change it. Let's say you've realized that you avoid difficult conversations because you don't like conflict. Instead of just saying, I need to get better at this, set clear goals like I will engage in one difficult conversation this week, or I will practice assertiveness in small interactions. Small, measurable goals will help you gradually develop new habits. Embrace the challenge. Changing an undesirable truth requires work, and that work can feel challenging. But here's the thing. Growth only happens outside of your comfort zone. When you embrace the challenge of improving yourself, you're building resilience. The discomfort you feel is a sign that you're pushing beyond your limits, and that's where real change happens. Stay consistent. Consistency is key. You won't change overnight, and that's okay. What's important is that you stay committed to the process. Keep working toward your goals even when it's hard. Over time, the actions you take will start to reshape how you think and behave, and that undesirable truth will slowly transform into a strength. Seek support and feedback. Don't be afraid to seek support from others as you work on improving yourself. Whether it's a mentor, a coach, or a trusted friend, getting feedback can help you stay on track and give you insights that you may not have considered. Just like the initial truth you faced, constructive feedback can be a powerful tool for growth. One critical point to remember is that you should never dwell on an undesirable truth to the point where it becomes a hindrance. Yes, it's important to face reality, but don't let it define you. Dwelling on your flaws or weaknesses can lead to negative self-talk, which only reinforces the idea that you're stuck with those qualities. Instead, see those truths as launching points for growth. Let's go back to the procrastination example. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm just a procrastinator and I'll never change," you're reinforcing that identity. But if you acknowledge it, set a plan to improve, and keep working on it, you're transforming that truth into a temporary challenge that you are actively overcoming. At the end of the day, facing undesirable truths about yourself is not a sign of failure. It's an opportunity for growth. These truths are not fixed labels or limitations. They are simply markers of where you are right now, and they offer a roadmap for where you can go. Instead of letting these truths hold you back, use them as challenges that push you to become better. The work involved in changing these truths is what ultimately leads to personal development and transformation. Remember, you are not defined by your flaws, you are defined by how you respond to them and the steps you take to grow. Don't settle for what doesn't serve you. Embrace the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content on personal growth and self-improvement. Let's continue this journey of growth together and share with someone who needs to hear this.